All right, today's lesson is 10.3, the area of triangles. So yesterday we did lesson 10.1, we did the area of parallelograms. And when we were finding the area of a parallelogram, we used the formula A equals B times H, meaning area equals base times height. Triangles, if you had two congruent triangles and put them together, you could make a parallelogram. Okay? So that's why to find the area of a triangle, we're going to use the formula A equals half the base times height. All right, so let's look at example 1. So here, again, this is the most important thing. Make sure you're writing your formula and you're following it each time. So we're going to look at this. We're going to keep the A. We're going to keep the half, okay? Those two things are always going to be there. Or, I take that back. The A, if they give you the area, you'll replace it. But this half is always going to be here. Your base right here is 190. And your height is 79. You with me? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite A equals half. All right, let's go ahead and do this part right here. What is 190 times 79? 15,010. Okay? All right, so if this were a parallelogram and not a triangle, so if there was another part to this, you don't have to write this part. So say that we have this figure right here. This was the parallelogram, okay? The whole thing would be 15,010. But we want to know what's just this triangular part, which is half of the parallelogram. So to half it, we just take this number and divide by 2. So what is 15,010 divided by 2? 7,505. And our units is feet. And because this is the area, what do? We square it by putting that little 2 there. That's how you square it. Anybody have a question there? Does that make sense? Okay, let's look at example 2 now. So same thing. We have another triangle. And again, if I wanted to draw this to show how it works with a parallelogram, see how this makes a parallelogram? And see how these two are the same? So that's why we half this. We do what we would do for a parallelogram, but we half it to take care of the triangle. So they tell us the base and the height. So we're going to put A equals half of, I'm going to go ahead, no I won't. I'll go ahead and write it like this. I was going to say I'm going to go ahead and make it improper, but we'll wait so that doesn't confuse anybody. So we're putting in 4.5 for the base and 3.5 for the height. You with me? Okay, so now we're going to go through and make them improper. So I'm rewriting it again. 1/2 times, what would this be when we make it improper? 9 over 2. And what will this one be when we make it improper?
7 over 2.
7 over 2. So we just have to multiply across. 1 times 9 times 7 would give me 63. And 2 times 2 times 2 is? Not 6. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. Yes. Be careful not to add it.
That's improper.
It is, so that means I'm going to do what? It is improper.
Divide 8.
63 divided by 8. How many times will 8 go?
7.
Which is 56. And when I subtract that,
You get 13.
I get 7.
Yeah, 7.
So my area is 7 and 7/8, and that would be feet squared. make sure you're writing down these examples so you've got them to look back at if you get stuck on a problem. Any questions on number 2? All right, let's look at number 3. So this time they give us the area and they give us the base, and we're trying to figure out the height. So I'm going to replace A with 255. And I'm replacing base with 30. I'm keeping that half, notice, times H.
I had to rewrite.
Okay, I'll wait and let you copy that before we do anything else.
We're trying to get H along, aren't
Yes. The idea is to get H by itself so we can figure out what it would be. Alright, so what we're going to do first, I'm going to rewrite 255 equals, we're going to do, what is half of 30?
15.
15. So I'm replacing half of 30 with 15. And now this is more like what we were doing yesterday, right? The solving the equation. So what do I do to get H by itself here?
we?
Divide by 15. So over here I'll also divide by 15.
17.
So my 15s cancel out and leave me with H. And then 255 divided by 15 is what?
17.
Try again. 255 divided by 15. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. My book's wrong. My book's got a different problem. So yes, it would be 17. I'm sorry. Apparently, when I wrote this, I was supposed to write 225. But it's fine. That still works. So this would be 17. And what would I put next to it? Inches. Do I square it? No, because it's just H, the height. So the height would be 17 inches. Does anybody have a question there?
So if you do the other one, X will be 15, right?
It really doesn't matter which one I use as long as we work it. It's just that in the book, apparently, it was 225, and for some reason I used 255. So this is fine. This is the answer. All right, so let's look in your book on page 381. Now, some of you might want to still use your notebook for this, so you've got those examples to look back at if you don't have enough room to write it out in your book. If you have enough room to write it out in your book, go ahead. If there's not enough room, though, I want you to write in your notebook, so don't just automatically put the notebook up. Because yesterday when we were doing this, there were some that we did in the book that you didn't necessarily write all the steps for, and then that's what gave you trouble when you were working on your own, okay? And we are going to do all of page 381 together. All right, so for number 1, here we have our formula. They've already gave that for you, right? All right, so I'm going to fill in what I know. I don't know the area. I know the base is 14, and I know the height is 8. Y'all might want to double check and make sure are all those numbers the same in your book? Okay.
Well, we don't have the 8 one yet. No, we do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave you the 8 before you had to. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're just filling in. You're filling the 8 because I gave you the rest of this. It was already written. Okay, so it kind of lets us decide how we want to do this. Since this is straight across multiplication, you can do this in any order you want to. You could say 14 times 8 and then divide by 2. You could say half of 14 and then multiply by 8. You could say half of 8 and then multiply by 14. So I'm just going to say half of 14, which is 7, and then multiply by 8 to get 56. Now, why would I have done that? Why do y'all think I decided to do it like that? Instead of just saying it's 14 times 8 divided by 2. For one, I was able to do it in my head kind of quick, and I didn't even have to worry about using a calculator. So that was a way of doing it without having to use a calculator, because I know that half of 14 is 7, and I already know that 7 times 8 is 56. And then, so we got 56, and that would be centimeters squared since it's area. All right, number 2, we're finding the height. So the area, it tells me right here, is 132. So I'm going to replace A with 132. Then I'm replacing B with 22. And we're trying to find the height. So make sure you write that down. All right, so we're going to say half of 22 is what?
11.
So right here we're going to get 11 times h. Next I'm going to do what? Divide each side by 11. So that leaves me with h. And over here, 132 divided by 11 is 12. What unit will I put next to it? Inches. Do I square it? No, because it's height. We only square it when it's area. So you could leave that there. If you want to put it over here, you can. I was just making sure we understood what we were finding. All right, number 3. So we've got area equals half base times height. They don't give me the area. They give me the base is 27, and they give me that the height is 40. What's half of 40? 20. So let's do 20 times 27. And since it's area, this would be millimeters squared. Any questions on that one? Are you done with this part up here? You're working on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to scoot it up just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and write my formula. Anybody still working on number 3? All right, number 4. So I don't know the area, but they tell me my base and my height. So again, on this one, I'm going to do half of 4. What's half of 4? 2. And then I'm going to do 2 times 5.5. which gives you 11. And this would be millimeters squared. For number 5, you should go ahead, you should set up A equals half of 14.5 times 6. I'm going to go ahead and do half of 6 first, which is 3, and then multiply by 14.5. Now, if you did it in a different order, that's okay. So when you multiply those, 3 times 14.5, we get 43.5, and that would be millimeters squared.
I got the same thing, but I did,
You did a different order with your
I
multiply.
did like A equals 1/2 times 2 times 6 times 4.5, and then I did 46 times 4.5.
Get number 6. So for 6, we have A equals half of 6 1/4 times 6. So I'm about to run out of video time. We will be finishing the rest of this page.